there is an article looking at the amount of force that a soft tissue practitioner can ostensibly put into tissue. And then that amount of force was contrasted against the amount of force it would take to rupture the tissue.
Right.
And I can't remember the exact article.
Get the author. Yeah, they did this on the IT band.
And then all of a sudden, again, wild conclusions, all of a sudden the conclusion was that because you are unable to put the forces necessary to rip tissue, then the conclusion was that there's no point in doing soft tissue work.
Right.
Now, do you try to rip tissue when you're doing soft tissue work? Is that the goal?
That's not the point. And
Okay.
you know, nobody talks about, you know, at least we haven't ever mentioned the fact that we said this before, that we're breaking up scar tissue or we're ripping connective tissue apart.
Mhm.
You know, what you're trying to do is get that tissue to start adapting and providing various loads and forces onto that tissue to initiate a change. I mean,
Okay.
that's pretty much what's happening, right, with what we're doing.
And then that change, of course, has to have, you know, the signal has to be given in time, but over time. So in time, what we're saying is if we can give some directional signal into that tissue that is later followed up with exercise, which reinforces that directionality, that we can improve on the end result of the connective tissue that is laid down.
Correct. The
Okay.
whole idea is to create directional load onto that tissue and to initiate a process, to activate, you know, the fibroblasts in that tissue to start creating that process. And, you know, we take a look at, you know, work, for example, by Langevin, and, you know, she worked more with acupuncture and needles and twisting needles. And you saw that when she provided direction with that needle, she was able to activate fibroblasts. So it doesn't take much force.
I was just going to ask that. So what is yeah, I mean, you don't have to quantify that, but I guess you just answered my question. The amounts of forces that need be imparted in order to create cellular signaling is not a high amount of force.
No.
Okay.
From what we know, and from, you know, the concepts like mechanotransduction, we know that, you know, forces are what create activity in cells. And so what the research shows us, or at least some of the research that shows us, is that we don't need high amounts of force to activate that tissue or to initiate that process.
Okay.